we are with Pastorpedia, and we just wanted to wish everybody a happy Christmas sometime whenever it comes. No, we're going to talk about the excitement and passion of Christmas and Easter and other special events. The church is about Jesus, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. That's Christmas. Any questions? And he arose from the dead, changing everything. Any questions? Yes. Why doesn't the church do more about these events and other special events and holidays? That's our subject. I'm Newt. You're with Pastorpedia, and we're going to talk about how we feel about this. I hope you're going to see it's huge. And every church, we've got to think guests. We've got to think new people. We've got to think unchurched and friends and relatives and how we show the grace and truth and love of Jesus Christ and the church. Many times we're trying to, the three hearts of preaching. What's in God's heart, get it in my heart, and hopefully we're going to try to get it in their hearts or help them want to do this. Well, God's heart is he has come here, and the work of Jesus Christ, including the death and resurrection, that changes everything. It's the axis of BC AD. It's the axis of our lives before Christ and after. So holidays at your church and wherever we are, and how we celebrate them, and what are some things we can do to make it better and to help people say, I want that, or they really believe this, or this is joy to the world. Okay, that's the way we're going to go. Jim, say something about holidays, Christmas, Easter, and others.
Well, I think it's your best opportunity to reach people, because you'll have people come in your doors and walk into your auditorium that wouldn't be there any other time of the year. And so, number one, be nice to them. Welcome them there. Don't scold them. Don't scream at them. But let them know that you're glad that they're sitting here with you on that morning. We go all out when it comes to holidays. We don't limit it to Christmas and Easter. We go off the charts with that. But there's some other holidays that people walk into our churches. We go out on a Father's Day and do a Dad Fest. We have an early morning bike ride that hundreds of bikers come in. We have fun kind of events and activities. We give away prizes and gifts to men. We go after the men on that day in an all-out evangelistic way. Mother's Day, we go out on Mother's Day. We call Mama Mania. We go after moms. So in our community, our community knows that Grace is going to be a place where you want to go to on those special holidays. And the other thing I would say this, of all times throughout the year, you have people there that might only come 1 or 2 times a year, Christmas and Easter on a holiday. More than ever, you're going to have people in your pews, in your chairs, sitting in your auditorium that don't know Jesus. So give an opportunity for them to hear the gospel of Christ, respond to it, and then it could radically change your life. Don't underestimate the holidays. Give it your best. Put everybody that you have into that holiday, into that event, and give it 100%. Jeff, I know you well, and I know that you have a love for your people. And what do you do on the holidays?
We do. We definitely do some of these same things and have the same mindset. What I love about the holidays, in some ways, the holidays are layups, right? So you know what you're going to preach on. you know what people are expecting. You don't have to be cutting edge, especially at Christmas, because people crave the traditions. So when you focus on them correctly and get your heart zoomed in correctly, a lot of times the resources that we have at our disposal are very, very effective at the holiday times. And I look at Christmas and Easter, and I believe they are huge times of outreach and impact. They literally are times that you can take a person who is basically unchurched, doesn't know much about the church or scriptures, and you can take them back to the very foundations of the Christian faith and the very foundations of the heart of God. And you can use those as starting points to draw them into deeper and deeper conversations. So we look forward to the holidays here. Christmas, Easter are big ones. Mother's Day is a huge one. Father's Day as well. And we look at those and think of them as gathering times. We always start a preaching series on those holidays. So we look at them as invitational times where we can connect with somebody and bring them in. So I think that's important because sometimes you dread them. And I know that feeling because you think, man, what am I going to do with this Christmas story again? You know, I've taught it 10 times. What do I do with it? And I would say, boy, you shift your perspective a little bit and you can get excited about reworking that and bring it into people's lives in a new and exciting way.
Great thoughts. Christmas and Easter, and sometimes, let's all face it, people talk about the C&E people in a disparaging way on staff. I understand, but we ought to be so excited that they are coming. Let me ask you this. This is hardly important. What's your favorite holiday as a pastor?
I love the Thanksgiving season. You know, it's not a holiday that a lot of people put on the calendar, but even that weekend, we know that a lot of families are going to be traveling, and so we have a lot of visitors that weekend, and I think it's a great time to get together because you have people who are excited about being with family, and so we even take that concept of Thanksgiving around. So I love Thanksgiving.
Wow, interesting.
Probably Christmas is mine. I like it because it's drawn out. So we do a Christmas program over several days. It's not all crammed into like an Easter Sunday or Easter weekend. And I love seeing people that I don't see much. They're the C&E people. They're also the college kids that are home. And it's a little bit of a lot of evangelism, a little bit of a family reunion. And I love hanging out at the church at that time.
We are not taking advantage of them emotionally, but it is an emotional time for people, even who are not churched. Say something about that. We're appealing to emotions all the time anyway, and will. Why build on the warmth of Christmas, Easter?
It's what they're asking for. That's the uniqueness of it. They're coming and saying, will you sing an old song with me?
Right.
They're coming and saying, will you have a candle lighting service? And so bringing the truth to life in new and fresh ways are huge. But that's what I mean by a little bit what I mean by it's a layup. You don't have to be cutting edge to be effective in those times because it's actually what people desire.
Yeah.
And they're home. They want to come and be with you, and they show up to be with you. And I think they're really open to whatever you want to talk to them because they're not against you. They're not coming and say, hey, I don't want to be here. They're coming because they want to be there. I think it's the most open time to share the good news of Jesus Christ.
Oh, man, we've got to. And therefore, the church can't think just what you said, to be technically right on everything, or in the sense of these are our people, but how do I bridge into a life of a person who hasn't thought about this very much? What are some things you do about wording and stories or anything to get into the life of a non-churched who's at church right there?
I think at Christmas and Easter, we're kind of talking about these quite a bit, but the wonderful thing about those is that it's Jesus, Jesus, and more Jesus. So getting into his heart, why did he do this? What was he thinking? And there are wonderful opportunities not to be condemning, but to look and say, look what God did for you. Look at the links that he went to. And there are wonderful opportunities to express the love of God to people and to do that in warm and powerful ways, I think.
I think for me, I personalize it, Newt, more than ever. Not only I tell what he did for others, I tell him what he's done for me. Mm-hmm. And I get pretty emotional about that. I let him know that my life has been radically changed because Jesus has changed my life. And so I kind of have a front room kind of moment with them and saying, this is what Jesus has done for me. And I think in some form or fashion, they want to know that it's changed you first before they'll receive it.
Absolutely.
I was walking through a mall. I hate shopping. I always say that's what they're going to do in hell. But it was Christmas shopping, and
that's funny, dude.
In the background, there was Joy to the World, a beautiful rendition with the words.
Yeah.
And it struck me with, in that case, deep emotion. All these people hurrying to get done. Who's Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Let earth receive her King. Whoa. And in many ways, that's what we're doing with Christmas concerts or Christmas devotionals or sermon. They have heard the words, but it doesn't mean much.
Right.
So how do you get it what do you do to push it that way without pushing it?
Well, I think that's a perfect example of something that you would use just to connect the dots. This is familiar. This is what you know. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. I mean, you could go on, and just pushing into that, and even using that song and saying, let's talk about what's behind this. What does God say? What did God do? And this is what you're craving. When you might be thinking, I'm craving Norman Rockwell, I'm craving tradition. You're actually craving God, and that's why these holidays appeal to you, because it's glimpses of God that come through. So we try to do a lot of math and help people make those connections.
Math. Mm-hmm. Say more.
Math. Everyone who yearns is yearning for God, right? So
God has set eternity in our hearts.
Absolutely.
You believe that?
And that's why we're drawn to Christmas. That's why we're drawn to peace on earth, and our family got along, and I feel happy, and I feel warm. It's actually us yearning for God. We all know that everyone knows the presents aren't going to do it. So if you can do that math, if you can help them say what you're really looking for is a loving God, and by the way, that's what Christmas is about, and you just sang it in the mall, see, you help all that math to happen. And that's why we always start a series on Christmas. So we'll say, and come back next week, and we'll keep talking about that and helping you figure that out.
All right.
I think too, Christmas is like the #1 holiday, but I think some of those other holidays out there we underutilize. And like I said, I think Father's Day, if you want to get the man to lead us home, I think that's one that we should elevate in our local churches, is go after men, because I believe you get the man, you get the family, you get the family, you get the community, you get the community, you get the world. And I believe it begins with the man. And so we go after the men on Father's Day.
Do you know the name Willow Creek? It's a church near Chicago.
I heard of it one time.
Bill, what's his name?
But anyway, they do that at Father's Day, and it's massive about cars and motorcycles, and yeah, great. Do you do anything Groundhog's Day?
We sleep in on that Sunday.
What helps staff get ready rather than just, or volunteers, other than just, oh brother, we're going to have so many services? It's still the same wonderful story, isn't it?
It is, and I think you have to work with staff, and they have to, and volunteers, and have to have a missional idea. So if the desire is we're going to have a bigger Christmas pageant than the church down the road, nobody's excited about that. If the desire is we're going to tell all these people about Jesus, people will give their time and set aside their family plans all day long for that. And so it's all vision, it's all mission, and if it makes sense, they'll jump right in there and do it with you.
I think, Jeff, too, we like to go back and remember. Do you remember last year when Johnny accepted Christ?
Yeah,
remember last year when Becky was praying for her brother? And we go back, this is why we're doing what we're doing. It's because of him and her and him. And so we connect the dots, and that just motivates you even more to get back at it.
Some of the churches I coach are very, very, very small, and they're wonderful in many cases. I say to some of them, what are you going to do at Christmas? And they don't think about it until just before. What about, not production and all those, but you guys are in larger churches, but when do you start thinking about this, and how are you going to get ready and help the volunteers be ready?
We start thinking about Christmas in January usually, and probably get serious in the summertime. And we put a lot of energy into that. Same thing with Easter. I would say, though, to my colleagues who have smaller churches, this is where you are at a very strong advantage. Sometimes in these holidays, size works against you, and the traditions and the candle lighting services and the sing-alongs and let's have a special meal together really work at those times, and you can go for it without having to have big productions about things.
Wow.
It's crazy. I think you said you start in January. Christmas this year, we'll probably start about 4 weeks before. That's just that we have so much going on, but all that to say, you can still do something well even within a short period of time too.
Just a day ago, I was with a wonderful couple who love each other as much as any couple I've ever met. I just want to say that they are careful about Jesus Christ and love each other. He said, yeah, my favorite Father's Day, and he was talking about a church I was pastoring. And he said, and I walked in and the usher had gifts to give, and he said, are you a father? These people have never had children. They've cried about it. Are you a father? No.
Wow.
He takes it back.
Oh, my.
The sensitivity of the receptionist, of all the greeters, of everybody, and that you're not talking to your other greeter, you're welcoming many guests.
Absolutely. I had a lady very lovingly, I've always thanked her for this, say to me, on Mother's Day, don't forget those of us who wish that we could be. So we address that. Moms, people who would like to be, those of us who've lost our moms, it gets you teared up because all that emotion is right there. And you take all of that and you point it toward Jesus. He's the salve for all of it, But that's what the holidays do to you, is they get your heart right out there on the ledge. And many times people come and they're offering you their heart. You don't have to go digging for it. They'll put it right out there for you if you can connect them with it.
Wow. Thank you both. You're with Pastorpedia. We like the name, you don't have to, but I hope the information that we put on paper that goes with this subject will be a help to you. We hope that your Christmas, your holidays ahead, and Easter and any other will be so profoundly centered on grace. And his best friend said of him, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. That's Jesus. I'm Newt Larson with Pastorpedia, with Jeff Bogue, with Jim Brown. Thank you.